Keita Suminoi is dealing with a bit of a dilemma. His twin stepsisters, Ako and Riko, are way too affectionate towards him, especially when their parents are out of town. To make things more complicated, Keita's parents can't make it to an important parent-teacher meeting, and he's totally unsure about what to do. Things get even more chaotic when Ako and Riko, while snooping around in his room, find the notice about the meeting. Deciding to step in, they head over to Keita's school, but end up being chased by a bunch of their admirers. It turns into a big scene, and Keita steps in to stop the madness. He's pretty upset with his sisters for causing such a commotion and tells them off right there. But then, as he thinks about why they came in the first place, he feels bad. Keita catches up with them to apologize and explains that he actually turned down a recommendation to another school. He tells them that he's planning to work hard to get into the same high school as them, showing just how much they mean to him. So, Ako decides to help Keita with his studying to boost his chances of passing his exams. But, as you can guess, staying focused is easier said than done. At one point, Ako tries to motivate Keita by showing him her chest, hoping it'll keep him on track. Big surprise, it totally backfires because now that's all Keita can think about in class. Realizing her first tactic didn't quite work, Ako switches things up and starts writing study notes on her body. It's a bit embarrassing for Keita, but he ends up doing better on his tests because of it. But then, when Keita jokingly says that getting a kiss from Ako is like a punishment game, she gets really mad. She corners him and tricks him into getting a question wrong so she can give him a penalty kiss. Just when things start heating up, Riko bursts in with a snack she made for Keita. She's been learning to cook, but unfortunately, the food is awful, and Keita ends up spitting it out right in her face. In the end, Keita manages to improve his grades a bit. He gives all the credit to Ako and thanks her, while Riko looks on with jealousy, wishing she could have helped him more. Keita gets fed up with Ako and Riko constantly kissing him and decides to put a total ban on kissing, which really disappoints them. Trying to find another way to get his attention, Riko overhears that Keita has a sweet tooth and decides to make him some chocolate. Unfortunately, her cooking skills aren't great, and she ends up creating something pretty awful. While snooping around, Riko finds one of her dad's dirty DVDs and gets an idea. She makes some chocolate lipstick and convinces Keita to kiss it off her lips. Just as things are about to get interesting, Ako bursts in and destroys the lipstick, putting a halt to their plans. Not one to give up easily, Riko gives Keita another chocolate lipstick, but this time, it's made from her terrible homemade chocolate. When Keita tries it, he ends up tasting the awful chocolate, leaving him comically half dead from the experience. While Keita is busy studying at school, Ako and Riko start reminiscing about their first year of junior high. It was the first time they were separated from Keita, and they share their memories with each other. Their teacher, Yuzuki Kiryu, happens to overhear their conversation and starts getting worried about what kind of relationship they have with their brother. After finishing his study session, Keita bumps into Ako and Riko at the local shrine. They've been there praying for his success. This brings back memories for Keita of when he was a kid and wished to marry both Ako and Riko. His father had to explain to him that polygamy is illegal. Keita makes his wish at the shrine, and then the three siblings head home together, feeling a little closer after sharing these moments. Keita's hanging out with his friends when he accidentally gets a little too close to Miharu, a fellow student, and gets slapped for his trouble. Ako and Riko, his friends, start wondering if he's been messing around behind their backs. Meanwhile, Keita heads to the library to study, and Miharu, who works there, gets super nervous because she's stuck near him and thinks he might try something again if she takes her eyes off him. When she tries to make a break for the bathroom, Keita chases after her, thinking she dropped something important, which looks like her student ID, by the way. He's just trying to return it, but they end up dodging Ako and Riko, who are searching for him and hiding out in all sorts of weird spots. Long story short, they get locked in the gym storage room, and things get pretty awkward from there. Let's just say Miharu has an accident on Keita's back, and they finally escape. But not before Keita promises to keep it all on the down low. Of course, that doesn't last long, because when he accidentally sees Miharu without her wet panties, which, yeah, is super humiliating for her, Ako and Riko find him with a beat-up face, and you can guess how that goes over. Unable to view porn, Ako and Riko are determined to get their hands on some erotic games. But there's one problem. Their dad's PC is off-limits for internet porn, so they decide to take a trip to Akihabara to buy some adult games instead. But things get complicated when Keita tags along, and they need to come up with a plan to keep their true intentions under wraps. Ako distracts Keita by dragging him to a cosplay store.
Oh my god! Wow!
While Riko sneaks off to explore the adult section of a game shop. But things get even more awkward when they run into Ako's teacher, Yuzuki Kiryu, who's secretly an otaku, dressed as Mahoro from Mahoromatic Maiden, no less. Riko encounters her again while trying to score a special edition game, and things only get more chaotic from there. After meeting Keita and remembering Ako and Riko's crush on him, Yuzuki drags him off for a chat. accidentally taking him to a cosplay-themed love hotel. Ako and Riko eventually track them down, and the group runs into Keita's kohai, Mikazuki, who's also Yuzuki's younger sister. Mikazuki covers for Yuzuki by claiming she was buying the game for herself, and in return, Yuzuki agrees to cosplay as Mai Shiranui for her that night. Yeah, it's a pretty wild and wacky adventure. One of Keita's friend, Toda, convinces him to hit the pool with Mikazuki and himself, and to invite Ako and Riko along for the fun. But things take a weird turn when Toda hands Keita an erotic magazine to persuade him. Yuzuki, Keita's teacher, gets suspicious and decides to follow them to the pool, even though she's short on cash and can't really afford the admission fee. While trying to stay under the radar, Yuzuki hides out in the bathroom, but Ako and Riko stumble upon her and, thinking she's a perv, douse her with water. With her clothes soaked, Yuzuki borrows Keita's gym outfit to wear. Later that night, she gets a little too comfortable in his clothes and, enjoys the manly scent of his gym pants. Let's just say she has a pretty intense fantasy about Keita while wearing his outfit. And things get even more awkward when she realizes she, soiled his pants in the process. The next day, Keita has a super weird nightmare about Yuzuki doing some pretty inappropriate stuff with him. Yeah, things are getting pretty strange in this group. Finally, the summer festival arrives, and Keita's got a rare day off from prep school. Ako and Riko are determined to spend the evening with him, but they all end up going to the festival together. As they're enjoying the festivities, a series of mishaps with the parade participants gives Ako and Riko each a chance to hang out with Keita one-on-one. But things get complicated when Yuzuki, who's patrolling the festival, catches Riko and Keita sneaking off into the woods. And if that's not enough, Mikazuki's strutting her stuff as Miss Mikoshi, and Ako's mischievous chicken leads Keita to stumble upon Miharu in a super embarrassing situation. Again. By the time Keita reunites with his sisters, they barely recognize him due to the beating he took from Miharu. Yeah, it's been a wild and crazy festival night. So Keita's trying to hit the books, but Ako and Riko are in a full-on competition to see who can be the most helpful. Things take a turn when Riko and Keita end up goofing around under the kotatsu, playing footsie, until Ako catches them in the act. Then, while they're looking for good luck charms to boost Keita's study game, they stumble upon one that's made with, wait for it, pubic hair. Yeah, it's as awkward as it sounds. But after a lot of back and forth, the sisters decide to pluck their own hairs to make the charm for Keita, and they make him promise not to peek inside. Of course, Keita ends up taking the charm to school with him, totally oblivious to how embarrassing it is for Ako and Riko. They're left cringing at the thought of anyone finding out what's inside that charm. It's safe to say things got a little more awkward than they bargained for. Keita's exams are just around the corner, but he falls sick and is bedridden. Ako and Riko get excused from school to take care of him, but their nursing skills are put to the test as they bicker and fight to win his attention. In a bizarre turn of events, both twins end up licking the sweat off his body, which somehow passes the cold to them instead. Meanwhile, Keita makes a speedy recovery, much to Yuzuki's surprise when she sees him show up for his exams. As Keita takes his tests, Ako and Riko reminisce about how he supported them during their own exam days. When Keita returns home, he thanks the twins for their care, but they're too ashamed to respond, having fallen asleep and missed his heartfelt gratitude. They cry in regret, feeling they've let him down once again. Keita's on pins and needles waiting for his exam results, with Ako and Riko doing their best to wish him luck. But, wouldn't you know it, they run into one unlucky omen after another on their way to school. When they finally get to the notice boards, Keita's number isn't there, and they all feel pretty down about it. But then, just when they're about to give up hope, Yuzuki swoops in and puts up a few more numbers on the board, including Keita's. Talk about a lifesaver! Seeing the celebration Ako and Riko had planned for him, Keita's spirits lift and he decides to make the most of it. Later that evening, Keita gets a surprise visit from Miharu, who found Keita's mail containing his results thanks to her dog. Turns out, Keita passed the exams. He's over the moon with excitement and ends up hugging Miharu in his joy. Of course, Ako and Riko show up and scare off poor Miharu, but Keita doesn't care because he's too busy sharing the good news with them. It's a happy ending for everyone, and Keita's future is looking brighter than ever. After Keita's graduation, Ako and Riko show up a bit late and find out they missed their chance to grab any of the buttons off his blazer. You know, the whole tradition where guys give the second button to the girl they like. Feeling a bit bummed, they decide to hold a consolation prize draw with Keita's stuff. Ako, Riko, Mikazuki, and Miharu all join in, writing down their wishes to be drawn randomly. But here's where things get a bit wild. Ako's plan totally backfires, and she ends up with Keita's shirt collar. Mikazuki wins the chance for Keita to flip her skirt, though he has no idea she's not wearing any undies. Riko wins the opportunity to kiss Keita in front of everyone, but she chickens out at the last minute. Then comes Miharu, who scores 5 whole minutes alone with Keita in the equipment room, where she can do anything she wants. But instead of making a move, Keita just uses the time to thank her. However, things take a surprising turn, and they end up in a pretty compromising situation, leaving Akko and Riko thinking the worst. Later that night, Akko and Riko try to make a move on Keita while he's sleeping, but it just gives him some weird dreams. As he grabs his jacket unconsciously, the button he'd been keeping for them falls out. Realizing Keita couldn't choose between them and cares for them both individually, they decide to leave him alone for the night, respecting his feelings. As the new semester begins, Keita walks hand in hand with Akko and Riko to high school, ready to face whatever comes their way together. It's a sweet ending to a roller coaster of a journey. The final credits roll with a flashback to Keita's first day of school, where he's warmly welcomed by his juniors and classmates. As he starts to make friends, his sisters Akko and Riko become the envy of the school, with everyone clamoring to get close to Keita. Even Maharu can't help but feel a little embarrassed under Keita's gaze. But Yuzuki Kiryu, their homeroom teacher, isn't having it. After school, Akko and Riko happily take Keita home, where the Suminoi family enjoys a warm dinner together. As the story wraps up, we see a montage of the siblings growing up from kids to teenagers, with Akko and Riko sharing one last tender kiss with Keita before the curtain closes.